By the end of the first section, you'll have made this figure here. We're just going to start with the Blender default startup file. Let's hit 1 on the number pad to look at it from the front, then hit 5 to look at it orthographically. We'll mouse wheel in a little bit, then Tab to enter edit mode, Control R to add a ring cut, left click to accept it, and then hit Escape so it ends up right in the center. I'm going to turn off the limit selection to visibility. Type A to deselect that, then B to get our boundary selection. Select these two vertices, hit X to delete the vertices. I'm going to come over here to our modifiers, add a modifier, mirror, turn clipping on, and we'll turn this on so we can see it in edit mode as well. So I just mouse wheel out, and then pan up a little bit with shift middle mouse button. I'm going to turn this widget off. And I'm going to do a standard 8-figure high character. 8-head high character. That's 8 heads is pretty much heroic proportions. And I'm going to treat each one of these grid squares as if it were a head high. So I'm going to move this up, A to deselect, B to select those, G to move up, just almost up to this line. Deselect that, move this in, Control R to create another ring cut, R to rotate it, S to scale it, X along the X axis. That's our waist. Control R, move it up to right about there. That's going to be about where our pecs are. I'll bring this in a little bit. Let's look at it from the side. Select everything, scale, just along the Y, bring it in. We'll push this in a little bit for the back. Moving this a little bit forward. Looking around, it's already starting to look like a torso. I'm going to add a ring cut here. And then select all the way around here. I'm doing an alt-right click. And then I'm going to just scale in a little bit. That way we've rounded out the shape. In fact, I'm going to take this and scale just along the Y. Some more. One more ring cut down the center. Bring that right in. And now I'm going to turn on limit selection again. Here's where we'll extrude our leg out of. We can turn faces on and select that. Then E to extrude. I can bring the legs in, rotate them. Let's bring it down. We're just roughing out the shape right now. It's going to look goofy for some time until we get a chance to really tweak it. So let's get the right proportions, and that'll make our lives quite a bit easier down the line. I'm going to put a ring cut here. I'll hit escape so it's down the center. Then Alt S to scale it out just along the normals. See how that looks? All right. Control R, we'll bring another here. I'm going to click that limit visibility on again. We'll scale it. I toggle that on and off quite a bit. So sometimes when I don't want to click the button, I hit the Z key. Again, we're just figuring out proportions as we work on this. Control R. Then I do Control Tab to easily switch between the different vertex, edge, or face selection modes. Let's get this guy's arms out here. Scale it down a little bit. His arms probably going to be around here. And then hands a little further. I really enjoy sketching in Blender like this. I think it's one of the things that make Blender a good artist tool, is that you can really move pretty quick. So these two, I would like these to be in a little bit. And the same thing with these tops. Just rounding out the arms. So I'm going to give it more organic of a feel. Get a rib cage in here. Now we're going to do the hands, feet, and heads separately. GG to edge slide. GG again, just a little edge sliding in. And round out this spot by bringing these vertices in. And I still want to pull around this whole thing out a little bit. So let's do Alt-B and just view this part. We can look down. So arms. Just hide some of that information. Make it not so busy. Then Alt-B to show everything again. In fact, this one and this one I think need to scale along the X. That's, oh, I'm sorry, scale along the Y. Oh, there we go, that's looking better. Pulled that a little too much, so I'm going to type W, and then I'm going to select Smooth, flatten it out a little. Let's get the middle of this knee in. When I make figures, I'm not very mechanical in my process. I don't have like a specific set of rule. Well, that's not true. I don't do it very algorithmically. I tend to build it as I'm sketching, so my figures can come out somewhat different. Control 1 just to look all the way in the back real easily. He's got a little hip bone, or not the hip bone, but the leg that comes out of the hip there. Thick in the middle, so I don't want to limit. I'm going to select all the way through, scale along the Y. This is a little extreme, so we'll resolve that a little bit more later as we work on it. Let's try smoothing that. Smooth is like your best friend in Blender. A little GG there, just moving that along the vertex, or along the edge. Here for the hip. Maybe make his waist a little bit narrower. Add another ring here. You'll see me rotating around quite a bit as my brain tries to figure out what looks right and what doesn't. You try and do the paths similar to the muscle shapes, at least to the best of what you can do. It helps you when you are trying to really sketch this out. Be thinking about the muscle groups that are involved. lot of tweaking that we'll do along the way. Not all of it will be done just in this lesson, but we're getting the basic shape. I'm going to switch to proportional editing down here by hitting O, type G, and pull out a chunk there. And O to turn it back off again. We can also, while we're at it, throw on one more modifier, subdivision surface. We'll bump that up once. Tab to take a look at it. There we go. That's coming along. I didn't want that selected. Now I'll push that in low. There we go. Definitely humanoid. Well, let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll move on to our next lesson. Oh, and let's save. I'm going to call it Hero 1. Let's give him a head now. I don't want to see this in edit mode. I like to see the faces, at least during the early stage. It's visually a little simpler as you're kind of blocking it out. Not like you're not thinking about it, but blocking it out as if you're making the major brush strokes, like when you're doing a painting. It's an important distinction. So we said he's 8 heads tall, so he's going to be up to about here, and his chin would be around here. So this is the bottom of his chin, this is about the top of his head. And here is if he was wearing an old-fashioned diving helmet. I'm gonna take this, go with GG, just slide that up a little bit. You know, actually I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait just for a few more cuts before I make any major decisions like that. Turn this off because I want to be able to grab all the way through. Let's say that his neck's going to come in around here, like this. I'll come back. Give him a little bit more information here in the neck. There we go. Again, we're just sketching right now. We're figuring this out. So let's not get too hung up on little details as we're trying to work on the big details of the general shape in proportion of his features. And about halfway through his head is going to be his eyes. And I'm gonna scale on the z-axis, flatten this out some, and then I'm gonna Alt S up just a little. Let's look at him from the front. He's got a nice beefy neck. Maybe too beefy. I'm going to grab the front and back edges there and just go along the X. This is where working with a mirror is nice, because as I move in towards the X and the other side's moving in, I don't have to be doing a scale. Let's get the back. I think we could even put in another. Scaling along the Y. I'll pop back to the front again, and you know, some of these here would be nice to scale along the exit down. Let's give him a little more chin. So I'm seeing my square here for his head, his height of his head, all the way down to about here. So we really need to lower more. Now, since he's a superhero, you can go all sorts of crazy proportions. They go beyond the even 8-head character. It just depends on the style and what you're looking for. Let's hide those so we can see a little better. Maybe I'll add one more and cut here, and bring these in, rounding that out. GG, I'm going to move this back. I'll move this forward. I'm going to add one more here. Control 1 again to get all the way back. Problem with the mirror, though, is when you're on the other side and you start moving, your mouse is, you have to work on the opposite side of what you're thinking. I would say you get used to that, but you don't. You just kind of figure it out as it's happening. So there. And we can add more later. Like I said before, I'm roughing out the shapes. We'll see what we need. And, you know, like they say when you're working on a painting, work the whole canvas. So, you know, we've been noodling on the head. Oh, I have. Hopefully you have too. but you got to look at the whole thing and work the whole thing, even though I'm trying to build these in discrete chunks for the course. In reality, you've got to be working the whole thing. So I will do that throughout our lesson. Take time to tweak other parts of this guy. And as I'm doing the sketching, it is like sketching, so it's real easy to get into that right-brained mode. And you can hear that as I'm talking, my brain is struggling between right and left sides. I don't know how Bob Ross did it. He managed to always be chatting as he did his paintings. I messed with this here. I gotta bring that down. There we go. Let's save again. I'm going to do a save as. And with my mouse over here, I hit plus on the number pad to increment that to 2.